And the federal government has ordered the resumption of the Abuja-Kaduna train services on May the 23rd. Train services had been suspended on the route after terrorists attacked a train and abducted scores of passengers in March. Most of those abducted are still in captivity. In a statement signed by spokesperson Yakubu Mahmood, the Nigerian Railway Corporation said the decision to resume services does not mean efforts to secure the safe release of those abducted will be put on hold. The families of those abducted have threatened to resist the reopening of the train service. In a statement, the NROC said additional security measures are being put in place to beef up security at the train stations and along the track. Now, for more on this, security risk management and intelligence specialist Dr. Kabiru Adamu joins me via Skype from Abuja. Good to have you join us, Dr. Adamu.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
So the federal government has asked that train services along the Abuja-Kaduna route be reopened. They are also talking about some level of security guarantees. But I just wanted to ask you, what level of security measures will be appropriate before this service or this service is reopened?
Well, any security measure that guarantees the safety of the persons on that train. In this instance, we know what the threat is in that environment. There are gunmen, some of whom are bandits, others are terrorists, who can attack that train. And just like we saw on the 28th of March, they did attack. Now, when they do attack, sometimes they come in as much as 200 of them carrying high caliber military-grade weapons. So whatever security arrangement should be one that will counter that type of very complex and complicated attack involving that number of persons. Unfortunately, the Railway Corporation hasn't made public what kind of security arrangement it has put in place, but I'm hoping that it's one that will have the 4 layers of security, one that can detect, one that can deny, one that can delay, and another one that is capable of responding even when these first 3 are breached.
And when you look at the period of time where that happened, I think it was sometime in March, if I'm correct. And now, do you think that we've had enough time to actually put that kind of security measure in place? Because some people are saying maybe this is too fast. We've also heard from the family members of those that were abducted saying, look, they are not going to allow this train reopen. But before we even get to that, do you think we've had enough time to put in place the adequate security measures?
Well, we've had time. Whether we've done it is a different thing, but we've had time. I mean, we know the threat factors. We can go after them. Now, I know that we've not gone after them. They are still out there in those ungoverned spaces, and they're still capable of launching an attack against the train service. So as an example, there are 3 risk factors. One, to remove it. Another one is to transfer, another one is to accept it or to avoid it. Now, I'm hoping that what the government hasn't done is to accept the threat, which means the consequence of the action if it does happen, as an example. The most important thing in this instance is to guarantee both the travelers as well as Nigerians that the threat has been mitigated. Unfortunately, I'm not aware that we've done that. So we've had time, but I don't think we've actually put in place measures. I mentioned that there are 4 ways. One way is to avoid threat. So as an example, they could stop traveling at night. You recall that the March 28th incident happened at night. So by avoiding the threat, they can say, okay, they are no longer offering train services at night, but they must put in place some mitigation measures. And as of now, we're not aware that they have put in place those mitigation measures.
And if there are no adequate security measures, like the one you just mentioned some minutes ago, what's the implication of that? That's one. But I don't know if this is a matter of good conscience or a matter of security, because the family members are saying you must rescue those that have been abducted before you resume train services. I also want you to speak to that.
So there is a moral dilemma here, and this moral dilemma transcends the government. It reaches as far as every Nigerian. I've spoken with some of the family members, and they feel abandoned not just by the government, but they feel abandoned by every Nigerian. A lot of us, crying Ukraine. People have shown solidarity with Ukraine, but the kind of solidarity that those family members expected from Nigerians, they haven't seen. So that moral dilemma is there. They have also threatened, just like you indicated, that they would not allow the resumption train service. At a point, they said they are going to lay down on the rail track, and those trains will have to pass over them before the service is resumed. So that's another element that the government will need to contend with. Has the government engaged with these family members to ensure that they accept and they agree that these train services can resume? If not, are we likely to see a protest action by them that would stop the train service from resuming? So that angle too would need to be addressed. And then the final angle is the safety of everyone around all of this is accountability. Who was held accountable for the incident? Who is going to be held accountable if this train service resumes and happens? Those are issues that would need to be addressed. And I'm hoping that not just the Railway Corporation, but the Parliament, as well as the judicial system, would also step in to ensure that this accountability element is something that would drive future operations of not just the Railway Corporation, but government departments in Nigeria.
Mm. And whether we like it or not, people are going to move and use this train. Like you said, I hope that we have enough security guarantees for everyone. Thank you so much for talking to us. Security Risk Management and Intelligence Specialist, Dr. Kabiru Adamu.
Thank you for having me.